Now at 5, how businesses in Knoll, Missouri are faring 6 months after the closure of the Tyson chicken plant. Plus, a federal funding cut is impacting 2 nonprofit organizations in Miami, Oklahoma. And
Israel is bracing for a major retaliatory attack from Iran in response to a deadly airstrike on the Iranian consulate in Syria. I'm Erica Brown in Washington with how the Biden administration is trying to avoid a widening conflict in the region.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
6 months ago, about 1,500 people were left unemployed in Knoll, Missouri, as Tyson was closing its doors. Now we're looking at how other local businesses are faring. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Anthony Saviello. Tanya has the night off. The closing of the plant impacted not only the company's employees, but also the community around it. While some businesses chose to relocate, especially the ones who largely cater to the immigrant population, others reported losing about 1/3 of their clients. Still, they are hopeful for better days ahead, particularly when the river traffic kicks in.
You know, Knoll has always been a tourist area in the summertime, and it kind of got a little run down, but I think it's coming back.
For the employees there, it was very bad because they did lose jobs, even though some of them got some others. You know, they had worked there for years. I mean, all the way from 1 year up to, I think some of them was there 30, 35 years. So that was bad. On the other part, we have a lot that want to come in because Tyson's is not going to be here.
Officials say the retail sales tax went down about 60% since the closure of the plant. The marshal's office budget, for example, was cut back about $50,000. Area nonprofit organizations say they are left scrambling following federal funding cuts. The Victims of Crime Act Fund, a fund made of non-taxpayer dollars, was cut by $700 million this year. The funding goes to organizations, including 2 in Miami, Oklahoma, that support victims of domestic violence, sexual assaults, and child abuse. Groups that receive funding say they're anticipating cuts of more than 40%.
We don't ever want to think, that we're going to have to cut services, so we, would have to rely on volunteer or just find a way to make up for it, find a way to make up the money. And it's hard, it's challenging in an economy that's already suffering.
Local organizations say they will need to rely on increased community support following the funding cuts. They say calling legislators or making donations to the nonprofits can go a long way. Folks in Fort Scott, Kansas today got some training on helping veterans adjust to civilian life. The Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center hosting a community green zone advocacy training. It touched on topics including military familiarization, communication, and military terminology, and how employees can utilize veteran skill sets.
What we aim to do is make veterans and community members part of the same canvas and then paint on it a mission that they can develop into a lifelong goal that never really attains a finish.
The event was free and open to the public with a lunch and door prizes. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Friday for us today. Temperatures fantastic. Most of us warmed upper 60s to near 70 degrees into lower 70s once you got out across southeastern Kansas, also northeastern parts of Oklahoma. Not a whole bunch going on. We have clear skies. It's going to be a fantastic evening. If you want to get out and about, you can see clear skies across the entire Central Plains. We do have a storm system, which will start to affect us on Monday. Until then, we get pretty good weather. Through the evening, we slide back through the 60s, 50s, but not near as cold as what we had during the morning hours today. And if we look down the road, the winds are really going to pick up for us tomorrow and Sunday. 80s the next few days. Severe threat moving in on Monday evening, Monday night. Another severe threat on Tuesday. I'll have all those details for you here in just a bit.
All right, Doug, thanks. Iran has vowed revenge for a strike on its consulate in Syria, which it says was carried out by Israel with permission from the U.S. U.S. officials say that revenge could come now at any moment. Erica Brown has more details from Washington, D.C.
Israelis are bracing for an attack from Iran, which U.S. officials tell CBS News is imminent.
I think this is a very dangerous time, not only for the region, but for the world.
A U.S. official tells CBS News Iran's Revolutionary Guard has completed preparations of drones and missiles to launch into Israel. And more than 150 cruise missiles are ready to go, and that number has gone up in the past couple of days to make sure some get through Israeli defenses. The impending attack is in retaliation for a deadly airstrike on the Iranian consulate in Syria that Iran blames on Israel.
Tensions are at extreme high right now. The move to strike the embassy annex of the Iranians was an extremely provocative move.
Iran also blames America for the attack on the consulate, something the U.S. denies. But President Biden has made clear the U.S. stands ready to support Israel if they're attacked.
Obviously, we've seen the threats coming from Iran, and so we have made ourselves very clear where we stand in supporting Israel's security. That is ironclad.
Sources tell CBS News Iran has also increased shipments of weapons to proxies throughout the region, putting a potential target on U.S. forces. A strike on American soldiers would force the U.S. to respond.
I am really concerned about that small skirmishes here and there could lead to an open war.
Attacks on U.S. forces in the Middle East have been on the rise since the Israel-Hamas war began in October. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown, told CBS Mornings today that U.S. and Israel are working together to not only prepare for any potential strike, but to try and find a way to avoid escalating tensions throughout the region. House Speaker Mike Johnson is making an effort to emphasize close ties to former President Donald Trump as he faces the threat of a vote to strip him of the Speaker's gavel. Johnson and Trump today delivered remarks on election integrity at Mar-a-Lago. They want to draw attention to what they say are state proposals and lawsuits that would allow non-citizens to vote. The event comes amid a looming threat from Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to force a vote to unseat Johnson. Still ahead, an at-home cancer risk.
A gas called radon is a leading cause of lung cancer, even for people who don't smoke. I'm Bradley Blackburn with one survivor's warning to check your home for risk.
Plus, the CDC warns of the rising threat of measles in the U.S. Topping today's Health Watch, measles is becoming a growing threat in the U.S. The CDC says although measles was once declared eliminated, 338 measles cases have been reported in America since 2020. Nearly a third have occurred in the last 3 months, nearly all in unvaccinated people or those whose vaccination status is unknown. Exposure to radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the U.S., but a new survey shows many Americans are unaware of the dangerous threat that could be lurking in their homes. Bradley Blackburn has more on why everyone should be testing for the odorless, colorless gas.
Chastity Harney never expected her home could put her at risk for lung cancer. She was diagnosed with stage 4 disease 6 years ago.
I just kept saying how and why, and my kids, that's the only thing I can think of.
She was 40 years old, healthy, and never smoked. Doctors spoke to her about exposure to radon, a colorless, odorless radioactive gas. So Harney had her home tested.
Anything 4 and below is normal, and mine was 8, so it was doubled.
Radon comes from radioactive decay of uranium and is found in rocks and soil. It causes over 20,000 lung cancer deaths each year. Yet 3/4 of Americans have not tested their homes, according to a new survey from the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center. And more than half are not concerned about exposure.
It's important to be aware of this, to detect it in your house.
Non-smoking lung cancers are on the rise. Dr. David Carbone says this is likely linked to long-term exposure to radon, which can cause gene mutations leading to cancer.
The risk of radon is related to not just the intensity at a given point in time, but the duration of time. Many schools are not tested for radon, many businesses.
Harney had surgeries, chemotherapy, and radiation. Tests showed her mutation could be treated with a targeted therapy.
I want others to know that anybody with lungs can get lung cancer. This is not a smoker's disease anymore.
She says every place should be checked for radon yearly because it could save lives. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Harney had a radon mitigation system installed, and her home now has only trace levels. Doctors say a non-invasive test can help identify blocked arteries. Traditionally, patients need an invasive coronary angiography to image the blood vessels of the heart, but a study by the Radiological Society of North America finds coronary CT angiography, which uses x-rays, can catch blocked arteries effectively and is much less invasive. That's a look at today's health news. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And a little later, why more people are trying to get their pets DNA tested.
Well, definitely turned out to be a nice Friday for us today. Temperatures fantastic. Most of us right around 70 degrees, and we get even warmer as we head into the weekend. However, we're tracking our next storm system, so here's our hot spots for Monday evening, Monday night, and then into Tuesday. So everybody in the yellow can get strong to severe thunderstorms, higher probability on Monday evening, Monday night into orange. So really right along that I-44 corridor, Joplin back to Oklahoma City, Lawton, Wichita Falls. Highest probability pushes east on Tuesday, but we will still be in that sector that Tuesday early afternoon, we could see some showers and thunderstorms, and some of those could be strong to possibly severe. Now, we're going to have chances for all modes of severe weather: hail, wind, and possible tornadoes. Again, this is late Monday, Monday night into Tuesday. Let's take a look at it. Here, 7 p.m., thunderstorms erupt all the way back through western Kansas and Oklahoma, and then stretch east as we go through the evening hours. So here's about midnight, 1 a.m., strong to severe storms working through, lasting into Tuesday morning. As we go into early Tuesday afternoon, we'll get a little bit of a line that drives through, and then most of the severe weather on Tuesday will be across central and eastern parts of Missouri. But a lot to watch as we go through the next few days. All right, right now it looks good. Upper 60s, lower 70s through the evening. We slide back through the 60s, 50s, not near as cold for us tonight compared to what we have seen over the past couple nights. Now the winds are really going to pick up. Check this out. We're going to have gusts 30, 35, pushing 40 at times for us tomorrow. And then again on Sunday, we're going to have winds gusting in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range. So it's going to get pretty windy the next few days, but clear skies. Not much is going on here. We have a big ridge of high pressure rolling in for the weekend, giving us nice weather. And then here's that next storm system in the Pacific Northwest that will start to affect us as we go into Monday. All right, let's walk through time tonight. Mid 50s, not bad. As we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, mid 70s by noon. Look at this, afternoon, 80, 81 degrees for afternoon highs. Tomorrow night, we only drop back into lower 60s, so it stays mild. Then check this out on Sunday. We shoot into the mid 80s for highs. 81 tomorrow, 84 on Sunday. Mild tomorrow night, but we are going to have those winds really kicking in over the next couple days. 84 on Sunday. We are going to go on a possible alert day on Monday due to that severe threat increasing. Wednesday looks good. A few more showers and thunderstorms by Thursday of next week.
For those warm temperatures, thanks, Doug. Coming up, streaming company Roku warns hundreds of thousands of accounts were hacked. Topping today's Consumer Watch, Americans haven't felt any better about the economy over the past few months, but they haven't felt any worse either. That's despite disappointing inflation reports that have thrown Wall Street into a tailspin. The University of Michigan's latest consumer survey showed sentiment largely held steady in April. Sentiment is well above the record lows seen in the summer of 2022 when inflation reached 40-year highs, but it remains below pre-pandemic levels. Nearly a third of large U.S. companies are considering a shortened work week to help combat burnout. That's according to a newly released KPMG survey of CEOs. The schedules being considered are 4 or 4.5 day work weeks. The findings show how executives have been searching for ways to attract and retain talent in a competitive job market, one that has many employees feeling overworked and underpaid. There's been a big boost in the number of people testing their DNA to find out more about their dog's ancestry. Their dog's DNA, that is. Now many consumers are doing the same for their pets. Elise Preston explains.
Like many dogs, 1-year-old Reef loves to play fetch.
I think she's part border collie.
Dog mom Becca Maslia rescued Reef last year and is considering getting the pup's DNA tested to be sure.
Why do you want to get her tested? I just feel like it'll tell me more about her and her personality and why she does certain things that she does, maybe give me more insight so I could help her more.
Ever wonder what makes your dog? Well, your dog.
Ancestry, long known for its human DNA testing, recently launched a product called Know Your Pet DNA. Brian Donnelly helped develop Ancestry's product, which retails for about $80.
All it is a swab. And so you will swab the inside of your dog's cheek for like 30 to 60 seconds.
Pet DNA testing is booming. Owners, vets, and breeders spent more than $322 million on it in 2022.
It's expected to grow exponentially just over the next 5 years. Why do you think that is?
You know, there's the thing about pets where they're just special, right? They're a real part of the family. 60% of U.S. households have a pet. Over 50% of those people consider their pet part of the family.
But Dr. Lisa Moses, a veterinarian and bioethicist at Harvard Medical School, says the science of pet DNA testing may not add up.
If your goal is figuring out what breed of dog you have, then I think that they're fun and useful. The problem is we don't really have a specific idea of what a breed is genetically. So there's no real way to say the tests tell you much of anything that is something other than just for fun.
For Maslia, fun is watching her puppy grow.
I just want to make sure that she's living the best life she can, that she's happy.
We could tell that even without a test. Elise Preston, CBS News, Los Angeles.
More than 500,000 Roku accounts have been compromised in a cyber attack. Roku said hackers gained access to user accounts through stolen login credentials, exploiting people who use the same credentials for different accounts. According to the streaming company, credentials used to access Roku accounts likely came from a data breach on a different site. Final check of the forecast is next. Up next on CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman takes us on the road for his eclipse viewing experience with his family. Then on KOAM News at 6, we'll have more on how businesses in Knoll, Missouri are faring after the closure of the Tyson chicken plant. Plus, Neosho, Missouri residents come together for a citywide cleanup. And Fort Scott and Pittsburgh softball put their strong starts to the test in a head-to-head matchup. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and the KOAM News at 6. A robotic dog is undergoing rigorous training on Oregon's Mount Hood for a mission that's out of this world. The robot named Spirit has been testing out its 4 legs in the rugged terrain about 50 miles east of Portland, learning how to walk on rocky surfaces and soft ground. Scientists hope their research will help prepare other robotic dogs for future missions on the moon and other planets in the solar system. Now let's check back in with Doug with a look at the weather.
Well, it looks like we're going to have a pretty nice night for us tonight. We're only going to drop back into lower 50s. Continuing to warm up over the weekend, 81 tomorrow, 84 on Sunday. The winds are really going to get moving. We're going to have gusts 30 upwards to 35. Possible alert day on Monday for strong to severe storms moving in Monday evening and Monday night.
All right, thanks, Doug. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. From all of us here at KOAM, have a great night.